What's up? Straight to the point. Please hit that like when you come on in. Hope everybody feeling all right. Before I get this video started, man, or the live started rather, let me go ahead and give a shout out to the brother Man Down Sports or Man Down podcast. Um, he was talking about this yesterday, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna touch on this myself. I'm gonna give my $5 on this. I've already given my $5 on this before. I've already talked about this before. Some people uh, did not really necessarily like what I had to say, but I got to stand on this, okay? Um, salute once again to Man Down, and shout out to the whole entire Lions Den basketball and boxing community. We sticking the hoops right now, but uh, Man Down, he brought up some very interesting points, but this was in reference to KD saving Steph, Klay, and Draymond and the whole Warriors dynasty. That tandem, he was saying that he saved their legacy. Man, KD did not save nobody's legacy. Okay. Now I know all the logic that everybody gonna come with and all the talking points. They're gonna sit up there and they're gonna say Steph called Steph and Draymond and them. They called KD and they came on over and all this other stuff. But KD had a choice to come or not, and they did capitalize on the super team and everything like that. But if we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go by that logic, we always gonna go back to what happened in Miami. And this is another thing. This is a little side note before I continue. Why does everybody forget about Bosh being on that team? Okay, people got to remember that Bosh was on that Miami team too. And Bosh was the leader of the Toronto Raptors. Bosh was going to the playoffs. Bosh was a main player in the Eastern Conference and was a threat in the Eastern Conference too, from an individual standpoint. But that's neither here nor there. Let me go ahead and get back and spin the block on this, okay? KD did not save nobody's legacy, okay? He didn't save nobody's legacy. He didn't save Steph Curry's legacy. He didn't save none of that because Steph Curry was a champion before KD had got there, and he was eventually going to be a champion afterwards, especially playing in the Warriors system. Okay, he helped. And see, this is another thing too. Everybody want to sit up here and they want to say, "Oh yeah, well, had it not been for KD, they wouldn't have won. Them two straight and all this other stuff." Well, Steph Curry might have had gotten maybe one, maybe two more Finals MVP had KD not been there. You ever think about it like that? What's up with it, Alex? He didn't save nobody legacy. Did he help the Warriors? Yes. Did he capitalize on winning? Yes. Am I mad about KD going over there and getting all crazy like Stephen A. Smith and the whole media was? No, because the way that I see it is that, like I said, I'll stand on this. You still had to go out there. You had to execute and you had to play. What if they didn't win? Then you would have been mauled through the media, sort of like when he went to Brooklyn with Kyrie and James Harden. Y'all ever think about it like that? But nobody wants to talk about that. Listen, man. Listen. The fact remains that KD did not save nobody's legacy. He didn't save Steph Curry's legacy. Does he got one more Finals MVP than Steph Curry? Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily put him above Steph Curry, because you got to remember Steph Curry was the one with the championship when KD came. He was the one that came there. He was the one that liked that system. He was the one that thought, oh, I would have been a good fit and everything like that. And he was already on his way out anyway. He was on it. He was already on his way out anyway. Man, KD ain't saved nobody's legacy. What's up with it, Ted? Nobody saved no his legacy. As a matter of fact, if we really want to be honest, they saved KD's legacy to a certain degree. Now, as far as people not respecting their championship and stuff like that, that might be true. But this is what I say to that too, right? I always go back to this logic again. If you go back 20, if you go down the line 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years from now, the only thing that it's going to say is NBA championship. The only thing that it's going to say is that he hoisted the Larry O'Brien. It's not going to say, it's not going to have an asterisk, oh, but it was a super team. Oh, he joined this or he joined that. If that's the case, we got to go back in history and we got to look at guys like, okay, are you going to get mad at Wilt Chamberlain when he went over there with Jerry West? And before he retired, Elgin Baylor, are you going to do that? You know what I'm saying? Are we going to go on all these different teams that made these moves and went over there? Look, he went over there. He wanted to compete. He wanted to, get his ring. Sort of like when LeBron had went to Miami. Okay, and see, if we're going to go by that and we're going to say, oh yeah, well KD, he saved the Warriors' legacy. Well, what about D Wade saving LeBron's legacy? What about that? Y'all don't want to talk about that. You see, y'all want to be petty, and shout out to Gil's Arena because they were the ones that were talking about this. And what his argument was basically that you down KD for going over there to the Warriors and all this other stuff, and then he brought in what Isaiah had to say about, and which I already talked about this about Isaiah saying what he said. Isaiah basically said that KD saved the Warriors' legacy, which is not true. Now, Isaiah Thomas, the great Isaiah Thomas, had the right to his opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's my starting point guard of all time. But I disagree with him on this. I thoroughly disagree. And then they brought up the fact, of other stars, coming over there, to various teams. Like, I don't agree. I think somebody had mentioned Ron Harper, and they mentioned some other guys that that came over to the Bulls and stuff like that. First off, Ron Harper, he pretty much was done after that injury that he suffered and everything like that. He was no longer that guy that he once was. In the Clipper days and in the Cleveland days and stuff like that. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. All right. When he joined Jordan and them, he just wanted to be a factor defensively and stuff like that. It wasn't like he was at his peak or he was like super healthy or he was averaging like 28 or none of that other stuff. Then on top of that, they made an off-season move. They got Rodman. To be honest with you, Rodman was 1 foot in, 1 foot out the league. Because he was having so much trouble with all these different teams and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But they acting like Rodman led a team, he led the league. He was leading the league in rebounding, and he was a defensive force. He was already a champion and stuff like that. But the thing about it is he was a defensive anchor that helped them. And it wasn't like 2, 3 other guys. That was just like one piece, one component. To me, I don't put that I don't necessarily put that in the same boat as a KD because KD was a different type of player, and they looked at KD as one of those superstar offensive juggernauts and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to go ahead and you want to throw Chicago in there as a super team and all that other stuff, go ahead. I mean, they won 3 straight, but what about, then they go to this other logic. They talk about how, when Karl Malone and Gary Payton went over there and stuff like that, even though that they were, I'm talking about to the Lakers, and they made it to the finals. Now, if they'd have won, guess what? Everybody had been talking about, oh man, but they were a super team and stuff like that. But then when they lost, They'll be like, yeah, an old ass Gary Payton or an old ass Karl Malone who was hurt and all this other stuff. So, I mean, we're always gonna be like, which one is it? But in this case right here, like I said, you wouldn't have say. Oh, and also I want to say on that, when it comes to the Lakers and when it comes to Karl Malone and Gary Payton, listen, if Karl Malone would have won a ring, then they would have been like they probably would have been like, yeah, he won a ring and everything like that, but it wasn't on his own. He had to hop on there with Kobe and Shaq, and then they'll even have the audacity to throw Gary Payton in there. You see what I'm saying? So in essence, it's like a nigga can't win. But anyway, like I said, Steph and Klay and Draymond, like it or not, they were champions before KD had got there. Love it or hate it, they were champions before he had made it there. Okay? It wasn't gonna if let's say they would have lost and then KD went somewhere else. Like let's say he did lose and he didn't want to run that thing back. He's like, oh, I didn't think it was gonna be what it was. Well, guess what? If he would have lost and he would have left, I can guarantee you, now we'll never know, but I can almost guarantee you that the Warriors, being the organization that they were, they would have figured it out. Because they were a championship pedigree team. I know some of y'all don't like it. I know some of y'all don't like what I have to say, but it's the truth. It's the truth. We got to stop sitting up here saying that KD has saved Steph Curry's legacy and stuff. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's kind of the other way around, because without that team or without that structure and without having those guys readily, they were a contender. Now a lot of people feel like, okay, KD maybe should have went to, like he should have went to another team, like he should have went to, because he lost to both of them. He lost to LeBron in the finals when he was in OKC, and then he lost to Steph Curry. So I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna put the icing on the cake for you right here. KD joining Steph Curry wouldn't it have been no different than KD joining LeBron. You know why? Because he lost to both of them. He lost. I know he was young. In the final. That was his first final. But he still lost to both of them. So when they said, sleeping with the enemy, all this other stuff, flirting with the enemy, pause and all that, he would have been the same if he went to Cleveland and go at Curry. If they would have made it, been talking about the same thing. We'd be talking about the same thing, man. So I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly with the notion that KD had saved the Warriors' legacy. They were going to find a way eventually. They were eventually going to find a way. That's what true champions do. They don't need to rely on anybody. They don't need to try to cheat the game or any of that other stuff. It's either you got it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's either you got it or you don't. Man Down did make some solid points though when he was talking about how in reference to being a king. Now he mentioned about like Jordan being a king. If you're a king, that means that you're on your throne. You didn't want to get off your throne to go join another king. I agree with that. Like Michael Jordan, he didn't get off his throne to go join Larry Bird and all this other stuff. I mean, me myself personally, do I like what KD did? No, I wouldn't have did it that way. But he felt the need to do it. But the thing about it is, what people got to understand is, I'm not going to sit there and just decorate you because you hopped on another team with another perennial all-stars or whatever, and another superstar. And at that time, people saw Steph Curry as either one or two. There's some people that had Steph Curry as the number one guy, and they had him as the number two guy next to LeBron. Some people had Kevin Durant as the number one guy. Some people had LeBron as number two. Some people had Steph Curry. However you want to put it, all right? However you want to put it. But at that time, people were looking at Steph Curry as the number two guy. And that's what people had a problem with. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, listen, this is what we also got to understand. They're talking about a juggernaut and a super team. We could poke holes in this too, right? Some of y'all look at Klay Thompson as not being a superstar, right? Y'all look at Klay Thompson as just a star, or just like a regular all-star. Y'all don't even put him in the same category as a KD or as a LeBron or as a Steph Curry, right? So then why do y'all call it a super team then? Y'all don't put Draymond in there. You don't put Draymond in there. So why do y'all call it a super team? Why do y'all call it a super team? What's up, man? What's up, outside? Why do y'all call it that? Okay, last time I checked, a super team were guys, that were perennial all-stars and, Hall of Famers, or guys that, I'm talking about, that came from their other team. The Warriors were homegrown. They added Kevin Durant, and see, had they lost, we would have been looking at a situation like Brooklyn. That's why I don't understand why some people, they sit up there and they say, oh yeah, super team, all this other stuff, when y'all don't even look at Klay in that light. Matter of fact, y'all think that Klay ain't nowhere near a star because of one damn thing, right? Because he's just a catch and shoot player. Reggie Miller was a catch and shoot player. I mean, he dribbled, you know what I'm saying? But people acting like, and shout out to Kareem. I know the Kareem report had mentioned this. I think they were talking about Danny Green. They were talking about Danny Green in comparison to Klay Thompson and stuff like that. And they were right about Danny Green. He wasn't putting the ball on the floor and stuff like that. Now, he put the ball on the floor when he was at North Carolina, but he ain't really put the ball on the floor when he was playing with, like Cleveland and, LA and Philly and all the, these teams that he went to. He didn't put the ball on the floor. But y'all want to try to sit there and okay, y'all dummy down Klay Thompson when there ain't nobody there. But then all of a sudden y'all get a marquee player and y'all win like a KD. Then it's like, oh, he's a super team. So I guarantee you, if when Boogie Cousins went over there, and let's say they would have won when they had Boogie Cousins, right? Even though Boogie Cousins was going through injuries and went through the shit that he went through, I guarantee you people would still, oh, well, they had to go get Boogie Cousins. And he might only average like maybe 10, 11 points. Y'all got to make up your mind. Either he saved their legacy or he didn't save their legacy. I made up my mind. I'm not gonna straddle the fence with this. He didn't save their legacy. Just like everybody want to say this stupid shit like, oh yeah, well if it wasn't for LeBron, D Wade wouldn't have had no rings and all that other stuff. That's partly true, but the whole majority thing that's true is that D Wade had the rings first. Okay, he had the rings first, and it wasn't like he got on his knees and begged for LeBron and Bosh to come there. But what did he do? He opened the door he left the door open for LeBron. He came over there. Okay, LeBron took his talents to Miami Beach and all that bullshit. He was the one that did that, and so did Chris Bosh. Now, this is another thing too with the whole free agency bullshit. We can't never determine whether, okay, if they would have had free agency back in those times, if those guys really would have did something like that. We can't really determine that. We don't really know. Yeah, as fierce as competitors as they were and everything, I'm quite sure there may have been maybe one, two guys that kind of would have flirted with the idea of hopping on the team. Like let's say a Dr. J hopping on the team um, with another guy, or or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But because like I said, free agency was not available. You know, it was what it was. But now they got more of the freedom. We in this era right now, so we can't really judge and determine whether those guys would have did that or not. You know what I'm saying? So I don't listen. At the end of the day, LeBron he chose to go to Miami, but D Wade. If we're gonna go about KD saving Steph legacy, then D Wade sure as hell saved LeBron's legacy. And then a lot of people feel like Kyrie saved LeBron's legacy too with that shot that he hit. If we're gonna go by all this, oh yeah, saving legacies and all this other stuff, man, I could get real, 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 real petty if you want to. I could get real petty. We could get really, really, really petty, man. But like I said, KD going to the Warriors, I didn't see it as like, I didn't see it like, okay, the whole, I felt like there was somebody that could do the unthinkable. I felt like there was somebody that could actually take down a juggernaut. You know what I'm saying? And it was so like, I guess you could say a lot of anxiety, a lot of people on the edge of the seat. That if LeBron would have did that and took down a juggernaut, like a lot of people were saying that if LeBron was able to take down a juggernaut and actually do the unthinkable and beat KD in them, some people would have they would have put him. There was some people saying that they would have put LeBron above some of the greats, including Jordan, because they were going to be like, well, yeah, well, Jordan never took on a stronger team, like a juggernaut like that and stuff like that. They were going to use that as an argument, just like they use that argument right now with LeBron. They'll say, oh yeah, well, man, Jordan never took on no juggernaut and all this other stuff. Jordan took on plenty of juggernauts. He took on plenty of juggernauts. It's just that you don't see it as no juggernaut. The Detroit Pistons were a juggernaut, whether you like it or not. The Boston Celtics were a juggernaut, whether you like it or not. I can't really put, I wouldn't put, the Milwaukee Bucks at that time when he was struggling against them. They weren't really no juggernaut. Hell, the New York Knicks, as physical as a team that as they weren't quite a juggernaut team in terms of like tycoons that were running the league or anything like that. But it was a tough battle for Jordan to get through. The Los Angeles Lakers, they were a juggernaut. Now they didn't have Kareem or no shit like that, but they still made it to the final. They still had 2 Hall of Famers. Then you had the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers weren't no slouch. Now I can't really say that. I mean, some people looked at them as a juggernaut. I didn't really look at the Portland Trailblazers as no juggernaut. But the guys that you remember as them being juggernauts during that time were, of course, the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics. But yeah, KD, man, he didn't save Steph Curry's legacy. Steph Curry was already a champion, like I said before he went ahead and joined forces over there. And listen, I'm gonna be real. KD really he should have like I don't like to do all the shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff, man, but I do say a lot of times that KD, if he should have talked it out with Draymond, fought it out, did whatever. But I think he should have just went ahead and just stayed. He'd have had, more championship. A lot of guys do say that, the media was going to talk about you regardless. You know what I'm saying? They still talk about LeBron to this day, about him going to Miami. Some people even talk about, what happened with the Boston Celtics, even though that was a different situation with Ray Allen, KG, and Paul Pierce. So, yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. Like I said, man, KD didn't save nobody's legacy. KD had a choice to come over there. What we gonna say about the Nuggets with Westbrook joining the Nuggets, right? Are y'all gonna say that Jokic saved Westbrook legacy because he came over there with the Nuggets or some shit like that? Are y'all gonna say if Kawhi and Paul George and James Harden, y'all if they done won a championship, I can almost guarantee you they'd be like, oh, they was a super team. When everybody used to talk about they talk bad about the Clippers. I'm talking about them people that absolutely can't stand the Clippers. So we done been around, down this road before. Make sure y'all like the video, share it, subscribe, hit them notifications. Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. I'll get at y'all later.